Andre here, and you can catch me on the Keith Andrew Show. Going to be getting interviewed, and I think it's going to be a fun time, and I look forward to everybody dropping by.
Hey, my name's Heath Miller. I was just interviewed by KeithAndrewNetwork, and stay tuned because you're going to enjoy some one heck of a conversation with all of us.
For people who want to know what is the Keith Andrew Network, the whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities, and never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. To prove them, I still amount to something. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Andrew, and welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. It is episode 1059. That is right, 1059 episodes available only on Facebook, YouTube, also streaming, available, well, not streaming, watchable on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, and all social media. So make sure to like and subscribe to the Keith Andrew Network. I'm here with two great guests. With that being said, 28 minutes of your time, PG-13. I have no cards up my sleeve, so you can say anything you want, talk about anything you want. So we're going to start off with box number one. And the reason I say box number one, you guys already introduced yourselves because you heard my speech, recommendations before the show. Once I hit the record button, we jump. I can't talk. Once the record button's hit, we jump right into the interview process. So box number one, first question I want to ask you is, what attracted you to begin your career?
So, growing up, I've always been in video games, been into video games and cartoons and just, typical kid stuff, I guess, But I guess at some point, I realized that people are behind the voices of these characters. And one day, and I've always been a bit of a character myself. I like to joke around, try and make people laugh when I can. And one day I was like, man, why not give it a go myself and try voice acting? And I ended up really liking it. And let's fast forward about a year from the point of me doing it professionally and still loving it. And it's been going well.
No, absolutely. And box two, same set question.
Yeah, so I used to do like a lot of like impressions back in high school, but I never done anything with it. Like the only like really acting experience I've ever had was in middle school, and that was just for two musicals. And then fast forward 13 years later, one day, I was just kind of like sitting on my bed, and I just like, and I'm also like a fan of like animation, video games and all that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just, sitting on my bed, I was just like, what can I do, to kill some time? And then I just like, let me look into voice acting, just randomly. It was completely random. No, nothing. No one told me to look it up. It was just all me just thinking about it randomly. And then I started doing my research, and I just started doing it as a hobby 4 years ago. And then a year after that, I decided I wanted to pursue it. And ever since then, I started my journey, and it's been one crazy journey in a good way. So, yeah.
Well, first off, the reason I do double interviews, it's because doing one-on-one interviews, I'm throwing myself underneath the bus. So, but just being honest, when I do one-on-one interviews, it's a hit and miss because you guys don't know me for a hole in the wall. All you know is like, okay, he's a talk show host. He has a learning disability. He's been doing this for 10 years, but you don't know the chemistry. So as long as someone's, upbeat and bubbly and professional, it's going to be a great freaking interview. And like I said, uncensored, by the way, it's going to be a great freaking interview. But there's other times where I came across someone. I'm like, oh, my name's Keith Andrew. Very nice to meet you. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay. Try something else. Was there anything you want to talk about? No. No, I want to. I can't. I can't do a half hour with this person without slamming my head off of something. Because when I do a double interview, it's not just one on one. Both of you are voiceover actors. In a couple minutes, I'm going to pass it over to you guys because I like bringing people together. Doing it one on one, it's you don't know the person's personality until you're right in the center. So both, I'm saying this right now, both of you will have your own one-on-one interviews because I like your personalities. You know, it's one. It's not to sound like an asshole, and I do apologize. It's one of those things. Like, yes, I like giving people an opportunity to be on my show, but at the same time, I don't want to see like I'm vulnerable because you really don't know what you're going to get, and that's a question I want to ask you. You normally I save this for off the air, but I'm going to ask both of you. When I first sent you the email to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes? And box one, I'm going to start off with you.
Yeah. I don't know. You two probably do a lot of communication with strangers, of course, part of the job. But when I get outreach, especially if it's like a cold email, and as someone who does a lot of that, sure you can relate as far as that. I don't know. It was just the way you came off. It wasn't. I don't know. I guess you sent the email correctly, if that makes sense. It wasn't like a hey, and then like a I don't know. It was just sent well. It was worded well. It came off like you were professional. You know what you're doing, and it just wasn't. It was sent well. It was worded well, if that makes sense.
No, I appreciate it. What about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with that too, because yeah, it was like pretty formal, it wasn't, it wasn't sketchy or anything,
Yeah.
and you were really like formal and persistent about it. I was like, okay, he wants to take the time, in the interview. So I'm like, yeah, so I'm gonna give it a go. And so yeah, so that's what made me decide what to be a part of this, and I'm thankful that I am, and I'm glad you reached out to both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I like bringing people together and you're making new friends out of it. It's also win-win. So, Andre,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the first question. Do you
Sure.
have actually, let's change up the format. Do you have anything you want to ask me or ask your friend Heath? Because that's the
Um.
whole point of doing double interviews, bringing you guys together.
Yeah. So, question for you, Keith, because forgive me if I missed this information. How long? Well, I guess actually, let's dial it back to the first one. What made you want to like? How long have you been doing this again?
Oh, 10.5 years.
10.5 years. Okay. And I remember you gave the explanation on what prompted you to start this. And you said it's at what 10? How many? 1,000? How many interviews?
1,059 episodes
All right. Is
officially.
is this your first time interviewing voiceover artists?
Actually, no, to be honest, in the beginning, I wanted to interview actors. I'm like, okay, well, let's extend the horizon. So I interviewed actors, actresses, models, CEOs, professional wrestlers, people with disabilities, people without disabilities. So if you have a great story, I like giving people an opportunity.
Okay.
Which is always nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and I like that because I mean everyone everyone has a story. I know it might sound a little cliche, but everyone has a story, and I like learning about people too
Yeah, same
because
here.
because I know I gave like the short rundown version of why I started this, but of course I guess part of it was, and this was before I even developed the voice I have. I would love to sit down and watch or play whatever it was I'd be playing. And I'd like those characters, like the villainous ones, the types. And I and I guess it was just a blessing that I developed that and was able to pursue it like I have been. I think so far I've only played one villain though. It's usually the authoritative types I play because I do mostly character work, though I do narration here and there as well.
That's wonderful. And for the record, I do not pay people, and I do not bribe people. So anyone who's watching, I did not bribe any of these
Mhm.
fine gentlemen to be on my show. They like to support me because I do have a disability. That's not a gimmick, even though everyone needs a gimmick. But the biggest thing is, I had to turn down interviews because I recently came across one of my favorite actors. From Everyone Loves Raymond. He does the brother, and he's like,
Okay.
"Oh, you have to pay me 150." All right, well, if I had sponsors, if I had extra
Mhm.
money, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna take money that I'm gonna put in my mouth for food and rent. So I turned it down. And then I said to him, it really struck a nerve. And I said, "Didn't you even read the message? Talk show host with a learning disability on the spectrum being retarded. Look at what he's able to accomplish. You don't want to say, well, oh, it's great PR, and that will make me look like a good white." No, you just say, okay, you got me on my show, you have to pay me. It's kind of like, what are you doing? If that makes any sense. Not to complain to you, I do apologize.
I know it's fine.
No,
Is
you're
that
good.
is that kind of, and I'm guessing that kind of situation's an outlier. That doesn't happen often, I'm guessing.
It depends. I paid one person and I said never again because after we did a fantastic interview, and a couple years later, I got, yeah, my agent said, my publicist said, and because when I first started, what you see on the camera is the reflection. I didn't have this back in 2013. So I pretty much had to work from scratch.
Yeah.
So they didn't have it, and my message was kind of vague at the point. And it's kind of like, yeah, take it down. I changed my mind. Okay. Well, are you going to refund me the $50 I gave you? What $50? It's like, so like I'm out of the interview and I'm out $50. Never going to pay
Yeah.
people ever again.
Yeah.
But like I said, this is not about me. This is about you guys. But I do want to ask you real fast, with everything going on in the entertainment world, where do you stand on the strike? And you don't have to talk about the strike if you don't want to. And this is for both of you.
Um, Personally, I just want it to end, really. I mean
Yeah.
every actor, so I mean I've looked into it, but not looked too much into it. But I know it's taking, a lot of auditions away right now.
Yeah.
And it's people who want to, audition, get something, they're not really having that time to do that. So, I support what they're doing. Like, they're standing up for what they believe in, because you don't want AI to take over
Yeah.
on anything really. But, I just want it to be over just so we could go back to, doing auditions normally and,
Yeah.
and just get back on track with everything just because it is kind of, screwing things up a bit in a way. Cause it's kind of like when COVID first happened, that just totally wiped out almost everything, from like, auditioning or
Yeah.
going to the studio, stuff like that. And just, and I feel like it's just one thing after another. But, I just, like I said, I just hope it'll be over soon as possible. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
And I agree with that. But
Mhm.
and it's interesting in regards to because the AI stuff is one of the big talks right now in the industry, and I get asked a lot, especially from people who aren't in the industry, about just my general thoughts on it. Will it kill the acting scene? And my answer is no. I know for sure that it has killed the bottom line, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, as far as voiceover for like YouTube videos. I can't scroll through YouTube these days without hearing this AI version of bro, what's his name? He plays a character named G. Dang, it's from Fallout, but it's an AI voice I hear a lot. I can't think of his name, but yeah, I hear
Yeah.
it everywhere, and I mean, it sounds okay, but even then, it's like I'm at the point now where I can tell when a voice is AI within 5 to 10 seconds, maybe. And it, and I guess you probably said slash heard the same things, Heath, but
Yeah.
like AI just simply cannot act.
Yeah. No, you're totally right about that because on YouTube, I'll come across not just the acting part, but the music part. Like they'll take
Yeah.
like, Kurt Cobain's voice into like
Yeah.
a Green Day song. And I mean, of course you can hear his voice, but just like,
It's like,
yeah, yeah, I mean, it'll stick with the original, you know.
yeah. I know when I first heard AI stuff like a year, 2 years ago, back when it was fresh, as in its full current form, fresh, I was like, okay, this is different. It's it's something. I mean, I it was that mixture of okay, this is cool, but I don't really want to see where it can go because it might not be good for everybody,
Right.
kind of thing. But as of right now, it's like, and people are like, well, what about AI voice acting for actual AIs in games? It's like, probably not. I know like 99% of the time that I'm aware of, they still get humans to do it. They
Mhm,
get humans to portray the robots and whatnot.
mhm.
So I think in regards to that, AI, if big if it ever kills any version of acting, might be at least a century. At least
Well,
it's like it's just gonna be a long time.
Yeah.
no, absolutely. Ebra actually brought up two good points. Actually, I didn't mean to interrupt. So what were you gonna say, Heath?
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say anything. I was yeah, acknowledging.
Hey, don't worry, you don't have to. If you guys professional wrestling fans,
Uh,
Yes.
Not too much, but I mean, if it's on kind of thing, really.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean yes, but I haven't watched professional wrestling in maybe a decade, but I go back sometimes and watch the old stuff.
because I just wanted to make a joke real fast. Is like you mentioned, you want to acknowledge, and the first thing that popped in my head was Roman Reigns, and he came a long way from
Mhm.
being forced down people's throats to actually
Yeah.
being a big star
Uh-huh.
and being champion for almost 4 years, and that's really unheard of. The last time there was a champion for that amount of time, Hulk Hogan was champion 3 years, and Bruno Sammartino, I think like 7 years or something. Don't hold me against that.
Sounds
But the
about
reason
right though.
I bring it up is that knowledge because Roman Reigns always says acknowledge me. So I'm not saying I'm the tribal chief or anything, but I know bad wrestling joke.
Nah,
But
man, wrestling.
the
Go
reason
ahead.
I bring it up is the first question I want to say is hey, if you guys see New York City, I don't know if these are real or not, but they have robots patrolling the subway. That's number one. How do you guys feel about that? Even if it's true or not. And I am guilty of liking AI because I'm a diehard fan of Dragon Ball Z. So hearing my favorite character, Vegeta, sing sounds of silence or Breaking Benjamin or any
Oh yeah.
songs like that sounds. I like to, if I send this to you, if I find it, I promise. Optimus Prime in Peter Cullen's voice reading the Bible.
Oh wow.
No, normally the Bible is boring, but hearing Optimus Prime read it, it's freaking amazing.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, things
Yeah.
like that are surely interesting. Like I said, it's cool. It's just that I knew early on when this first started to pick up that it could be problematic, but it's a little funny for
Mhm.
sure. It's just that I know some people, and I agree too, with like the issue of, well, you're getting someone's voice to say something they probably wouldn't say, and I'm like, yeah, that's because I've never really played with the AI, but like I said, you hear it all the time if you're anywhere on like social media. But no, I agree. It is a little funny sometimes or interesting for sure.
Yeah, I would agree that's a little funny too. Not just with the AI, but I've seen like clips on YouTube where like bands are meeting, voice
Mm,
actors and they'll tell them to say this line, but it's not their character line. They just want to hear it in that specific voice.
yeah.
And so, like I remember this old video on YouTube where this fan asked Sean Schemmel, who played the voice of Goku, asked him, can you say over 9,000? And he's like, well, I didn't say that. Chris
Yeah.
Sabat did. So I'm just like, I think they just, I don't know, they just wanted it just to get humor out of it. So, but But yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Be- because, like you said, with the Optimus Prime voice, certain things for sure, like certain voices saying things, can for sure make it funny.
Mhm.
Like I know there, I know there's like because I can think of a few examples where I hear it and I'm like, like I heard it before, but hearing it in a voice, I'm like, okay, this is sort of funny actually, because especially when you know the character, like when you think about the character, the voice is coming from and how they would never say that. Even it's not, it's like it is a little funny
Yeah.
just hearing it. It's ridiculous. I should say more like, like I can imagine you, Schemmel doing the over 9,000 was funny,
Yeah.
especially considering. I mean, I've heard hearing the stories about like them recording and how intense it gets in there, and yeah. Have you heard the story about when he recorded it was like the screaming segment for the
Oh,
transformation for
he
like
Oh yeah.
5 minutes
passed
straight or something.
Yeah.
It's
During
like,
the GT, I think he was saying, yeah, he was
yeah,
Super Saiyan 4 and he just passed out and
out.
yeah, I heard that story.
yeah. I can only
Mhm.
I can only imagine having to scream for like minutes at a time,
Oh my
probably for
God.
multiple takes even.
And
Hmm.
for the most part, the ones I met are really nice.
Hmm.
Let's see, I interviewed Elise Bowman. She's a sweetheart. She does the voice of Pan. Chuck Herbert, a great person. Um, Josh Martin,
Hmm.
Monson Boo.
Hmm.
A funny story about that I can get to in a second. Let's see, I am Steffi Analdi. She's really great. I'm working on getting, let's see, Linda Young on the show,
Okay.
but she's really
Cool.
busy. I took a picture of Sean Schimmel where he's holding
Yeah.
my wrestling belt. It's really funny.
Okay.
And Chris Sabbath, even though people say you used to double, but I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But let me actually, we can say that for another time. But it's actually why not just for wouldn't do you guys hear the rumor of I'm not here on the Keith Andrew Network. We do not support rumors, but there's a story around there was an incident with the other old Broly and another actress.
Hmm.
What was the deal with that?
I mean,
I
from
never
what
heard
from
of it, all of it actually.
yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, um, what I can say, but I'm not saying it's true or not, but this is just the media talking, saying there was like probably like some harassment going on, and like I can't speak for,
Yeah,
them specifically. It's just, there's two sides to every story. We will never know what really happened. Only the people who are actually there. So
Yeah.
all I really know is that, just harassment, and I guess it just went, took a different turn, and yeah, so I can't really go into detail about that. So
yeah, absolutely.
mm,
Now, if you're watching, stay tuned for Off the Air. You'll have a
mm,
brand new news segment.
mm,
Well, it's not really new. It's been there for a while. Sit down with Keith Andrew, who will only be available on Instagram and TikTok. But with that being said, I'm gonna pass it over to you guys. But the last question I want to ask you is: we all seen Terminator. Now, created robots. It's a horrible idea, but now they have robots kind of patrolling the streets allegedly.
Yeah.
I gotta see the shit hitting the fan on that one. To be honest, it's not a
mm.
good idea. And we're gonna start with box one.
So, in regards to robots performing that kind of duty,
Yeah,
I think that I don't know much about how these are programmed, but if you can what's it called? Program, whoops, hard limits on what they're capable of. Because isn't there like a law or a set of rules of robotics, one of which including do not harm the master? Maybe I'm getting
right.
this from a piece of fiction. I don't know, but I don't think that's so bad as long as they don't do too much of the allowing it to learn. Because I've heard stories about robots getting let loose on the internet or let loose where they can learn a lot, and they come back and they're like, why is it doing that? It shouldn't be doing that. It shouldn't know this because they sort of let it do its own thing for too long. As long as they don't do something like that, I think it'll be fine if we have AI robots performing functions like that. Because I think AI used, I guess, properly can be a good thing because it's a tool, but it's just, we don't want it to be abused or go rogue. But I think it's fine for now. And I think it will
Yeah,
be fine moving forward.
yeah, that pretty much like sums it up right there, like you don't want it, like it's okay for right now, but like you said, you don't want to abuse it, because that it'll just like, it'll just like piss off the actors really, if they keep abusing it and it's like taking their job, it's what they do for a living. But yeah, I totally like agreed, what you said on that. And I just hope, you know, like I said, I just want things, just to go back to the way they used to be. Yeah, yes, technology has advanced in so many ways through the years, and so I feel like they're just trying to do whatever it takes. But I just want them to go back to being normal. But like I
Yeah.
said, it's okay for right now. But
Yeah.
let's not let it get to their heads. Kind of.
Exactly. And I can personally think of like two cases where AI is more acceptably used. I don't totally agree with it. I was actually talking with a few other voice actors on LinkedIn about this. And I think what happened was a voice actor who's in Cyberpunk, that game that came out a couple years ago or whenever recently. I think they wanted to make a DLC, but unfortunately, one of the voice actors passed away. And think what it came down to was they wanted to try and AI synthesize him only to finish the game, the DLC. And they got permission from his family. And I think they went through it. I'm not sure. But I remember that was like a topic of discussion in that regard. And it's hard to know if somebody, because he could have said no, but his family theoretically would have known him well enough to be like, oh, okay, sure. He probably would agree to that. But I think even even if he had said yes or no, whatever like the case may be, I think in the case of them doing that just to finish a project and then getting rid of it, as it's like letting him finish his final job, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. I think that's fine. I know it happened with what's his name, Paul Walker. Didn't the AI synthesize his face onto his brother to finish that movie, The Fast and
Yeah,
Furious 7?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think things like that are fine, especially if the family consents. But like I said, the only tricky part in my mind is he could have said no. You never really know what he would have really thought about it if you
Mhm.
can't ask him right.
Yeah.
But I think there's some cases where it's acceptable.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, I agree. Now we're gonna go off the air. I do have a couple questions for you, both of you, for the sit down with Keith Andrew. But wrapping up, how can our fans get in touch with you guys? And whoever wants to go first.
Go first,
Um,
Heath, if you want.
okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, to keep in touch. Well, I do have social media. I have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. My Instagram is Heath Miller Voice Actor. Twitter, well, now it's X now, which is Heath Miller VA. And then for Facebook is Heath Nico Miller. I know they're all different, names, but yeah. And so you can find me on there. I market myself a lot. I post a lot. I'm pretty active on Instagram a lot, and I do like a lot of impressions and just keep everyone updated, kind of thing. And yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So, but this, and just for the record, you're my, or this is my very first interview. So
Same, actually.
yeah, I'm new to this. So, but don't worry, I'll get my wording better. But yeah, that's where you can find me as Heath Miller, voice actor on Instagram, Twitter/X, Heath Miller VA, and then for Facebook, Heath Nico Miller.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you?
Yep. Similar thing. Oops. Turn the light back on. If you search Andre Canada VO, LinkedIn, Twitter or X, all the platforms. Instagram. You'll find me. Same thing. I market myself pretty often. I'm the most active on LinkedIn and X, Twitter, and yeah, that's essentially it. And I guess if you type in my name followed by voice actor, you'll get my website at like the second option. Otherwise, you'll get a Canadian fellow named Andre, not actually Canadian.
I
No,
should mention too.
absolutely.
Yeah. So,
All that information will be on the bottom of the screen. And also, let me know what your schedules are because I would love to do one-on-one interviews. But stay tuned. I want to do the sit down with Keith Andrew before Zoom kicks us off. The new feature that they have is the timer, and after the video converts, you have to wait 10 minutes till you have to make another call. Nothing like working under pressure, right?
yeah.
But wrapping up the interview segment, it was a real honor and privilege having both of you on the show, and I'm looking forward to part 2. So until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. Good
Thanks
night.
for having us.